And we're live for the Great Bead Extravaganza. Ask Me Anything.
Woohoo!
Oh, yeah. So I've got my beading besties here. I've got Kate Richberg and Abby Berta.
Hi.
Hey, everybody.
And let me go ahead and make sure.
I'm going to go ahead and share it and pin it.
Thanks.
Awesome.
I'm going to share it to my group.
I got you. I've been sharing and pinning all day.
I know. You've been fantastic.
Pinner.
I am all good. Let's see. I'm finding it here.
I know. Sometimes it takes a second to pop on for everybody.
Yeah. If you guys are already joined in, you can feel free to share this video with your beading friends as well.
That's right.
So that way we're all sharing the love.
Share it out.
Sharing is caring.
There we are.
That's what Parker tells me all the time. Sharing is caring.
Oh, that's a sweet little saying. I remember that when my kids were little.
I don't know where that
I tell
song
that to
originated.
Alfred.
You tell that to Alfred?
I do.
Aw.
My only child.
I do kind of have to say some stuff like that to Miss Reba too. She's our younger one, and she can be a little. She hasn't learned that sharing is caring just yet.
Alfred loves to share. He's still gathering all of those sticks.
Aw.
My boy.
Our cats like to share too, but when they're not supposed to. So they like to steal sandwiches off of plates and then run away. Slices of pizza. Not good. But
for some reason, my dog has decided I'm the one she's got to beg to for food. I've never had a dog that is into food quite as much as this dog is. It's like, and our last dog was pretty into food, but this one is like, she is on it.
Yeah.
And apparently I'm the weakest link because she's like obsessed with bugging me.
You've got the tastiest food.
I must.
Yeah, Alfred is very food focused, but at 30 plus pounds, what are you going to expect?
Oh my God, Alfred is bigger than my puppy then.
He's,
oh my gosh.
He's giant. He's a massive beast.
Wow.
And a good boy.
So happy to see so many of you joining us.
Yes,
what kind of questions are you going to have for us? We are some burning questions.
We're excited to know.
Yeah.
And right now we've got both Abby and Kate busy working because idle hands, right? So maybe that should be our first question is, what are you two working on over there?
That's a great question. Let me get this stitch done and maybe Kate can answer while I'm finishing this complicated thing.
So perfect. Let me show you here. I'm going
to put you big screen, Kate.
There we go. I'll turn that light off. I'm working right here on my beautiful Singer Featherweight in my sewing room right here. And, you know, Candy started off this show with her quilting, and I showed you one of my quilts. I'm doing my quilt group, the quilt group that I quilt with, you know, that I quilt with my mom and stuff. One of our friends, we're doing kind of a quilt along. So this is a 3-yard quilt I'm putting together. That's
Are
the
those
technical
snakes?
term. What's that?
Those snakes on there?
It is. This is the fabric is from a fabric company called Cotton and Steel. And this is a snake motif. I'm working on, let me show you, quilt wise, we'll go around over here to I'm here. See, you can see all my sewing machines.
Wow.
I have 7 sewing machines in this room, you guys, 7 of them. This right here is, some of you might have seen this on my Insta. I made this jacket out of a vintage quilt. You folks can see that. Let me stand over here. I did this with my Fiber Arts Guild Whoops, sorry, there's the light in here is a little funny. There we go. So this was a quilt, a 1930s quilt, and I cut it up and I made the best jacket ever. When I put it on, I automatically take a nap because it's literally wearing a quilt.
It's so cute and cozy.
It's very cozy. It's 110 in Fresno today, so it's not really summer Fresno wear, but it's still, I love it here. But yeah, it's really beautiful. And I used, the design of the quilt and stuff. You can see how it all lines up. I'm pretty proud of this.
That's gorgeous.
I'm going to do another one soon.
Now, I admire you so much.
I've never done anything like this, but I know that this kind of stuff takes a long time, doesn't it, Kate?
It does. Well, yes and no. I mean, I've been quilting. I'll tell you, you can see another one of that quilt on the wall. My mom's dear friend, Janet Losey, the chicken playing tic-tac-toe quilt on the back. I've got a lot of quilts in my life. I just love to quilt. And I love to sew. I think you get faster and faster, like we do with beading, or Abby's doing with her knitting. I've got my knitting project over there. I can share it with you later. I'm the world's slowest knitter, but you get better and better, and faster and faster. So, practice, I guess, is like anything else. You know what I mean?
You're getting a lot of goodness. My jacket must be so cuddly and comfy.
It is so comfy.
7 machines. Question mark.
7. Look, see, it's right here. I call them my beloved stable of machines. That's my my embroidery machine, my Husqvarna, my regular sewing machine, and then of course, my overlocker. There, my serger. So.
Kate, have you named them all?
No, I just call them all my beloved machines.
Gotcha.
They're all my beloved. Then I've got my sail right over there where I make all my bags, and I've got a treadle over there, my beautiful featherweight that my mama gave me, and there may or may not be 2 more sewing machines in that closet.
May or may not be. What's behind the closet?
I cannot confirm nor deny.
So we're going to go up and see what Abby's doing too now. And so, Abby, what is your favorite non-beading? What are you doing?
I like knitting a lot. I have been working on perfecting this pattern that I've been writing for, I don't know, probably about 8 months now. Been doing a couple of test knits and experiments with it. And I finally have it done. And now I'm knitting through some samples. We have a shop hop. Some of you might not know this, but we also have a yarn store inside our bead store. So we have a shop hop for all the St. Louis area yarn stores coming up next weekend. And this is one of the patterns that we're featuring. So I'm just making a few more samples just to have sitting out. But yeah, I enjoy knitting, and to kind of piggyback off of what Kate was saying earlier, how, some of these things take a little bit more time, and you pick up tricks, and with practice along the way, it gets faster. But I'm kind of a slow knitter too, but I still enjoy it a lot because to me, it's about the process and like the cool engineering behind it and kind of creating these interesting shapes, and it's just it's enjoyable. So I don't necessarily feel bad about not being a fast knitter. But Kate, I want to tell you, if you haven't tried the Addy metal, like the Addy turbos, I have speed with those.
I have some of those. I love them. Now, is that a cowl that you're?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. That shell, it's like a knit. It's kind of like a shell stitch almost, right?
Yeah, kind of. It's when it's blocked out, it's kind of scrunched up because my needle's length is too small.
Gorgeous.
But when it blocks out, it turns into flowers. Let me find it.
Oh, love. Oh, I see that. And what kind of yarn is that? Looks like there's mohair in there, or am I just imagining?
It's the Bead Place House Line Petunia yarn. So it's
Oh.
100% Highland wool, but it's a single ply. So because it's a single ply, it has that cool
It has that
halo
bloom.
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like mohair though.
Nice.
Yeah.
So many beautiful comments for you, Abby. Loving the pattern. That's beautiful. Jeanette is getting excited to crochet or knit again. It's been so long.
Yeah, I'm excited to pick up a crochet hook on Sunday with M. I haven't crocheted in a while. I think knitting works better with my brain. The way the stitches stack, it just like it computes with the language that my brain speaks. But I love crocheting too, so I'm excited to kind of learn a little bit more about how to make things fit better from M on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm excited. That project that she showed was just really so pretty. I loved it.
I love this comment from Dawn. She says, Abby, you are a double enabler.
Wow. And I have, not only do I have all my knitting stuff in here, but I also have my spinning wheels in here.
Ooh. I don't know have any spinning wheels.
What is Raverly? What is Raverly? Do you know? Dawn's asking, are you going to put the
Ravelry.
Ravelry. I can put the pattern on Ravelry. We don't have like a shop account. I guess we do, but we don't utilize our shop account to the full extent that we should, just because there's so many things to do in a day. But yeah, I can put the pattern on Ravelry, or maybe we can do it as a free download from our website. But it has to launch for the yarn crawl first, and then after the yarn crawl, then we can put it up on either our website or on Ravelry. And Ravelry, for those of you that don't know, Ravelry is like the Facebook of knitting and crochet. So it's like an encyclopedia of all yarn and patterns anywhere. And it's kind of like social media too. So like if you're looking for a pattern that would be perfect for your particular yarn that you have, you can find all the patterns on there. And then you can like see other people's projects that they've made with that specific yarn. So it's like organized Pinterest specifically for yarn and fiber.
Yeah, it's
and
great.
Also Facebook.
I've never heard of it.
What's your I'm Bead Kate on Ravelry. What are you on there as?
I don't know. I'll have to see.
All right.
I don't remember.
I love Ravelry.
I'm gonna pop over to me, and can you guys guess what my unbeady activity might be that I enjoy? Surrounded by paintings. So that sort of painting is my other love, and I've been doing a ton of stuff in my sketchbook lately. So here is a fun like mixed media page that I shared on my YouTube channel at Kristen Fagan Art. So you can watch me make this page from start to finish. And if you want more inspiration, I have things kind of like this, which I call this the Paint Freedom spread. And
love.
Isn't that fun?
Gorgeous.
So
Kristen, what's your stream schedule over there for your art page?
It's kind of funny because I was doing things. Well, if you want this, actually, go to my website, kristenfagan.com, and sign up for my email, and you'll get the step-by-step on how to make that. And it kind of just shows you lots of fun mark making things. But my schedule, I started a membership group with some friends just about a month or so ago. And so I'm in there now twice a month. So you'd have to go check out, it's called the Create More Community, and you can find out the details. That's kristenfagan.com. So I'm there 2 times a month. And then in the free group, which is Discover Your Creative Magic on Facebook, I kind of just pop in there as things are happening. As I put up a new YouTube channel, I'll share it in there. Or if I'm working on something, I'll post things in there that I'm working on in progress. But I don't have like a specific schedule in there at the moment.
Gotcha. So when you say you have your like tutorials on YouTube, are they like pre-recorded demonstrations?
A lot of them are demonstrations that are recorded in the free group earlier time that I'm now editing and re-uploading to YouTube, because it's hard to find stuff in the group after a period of time.
Yeah.
So I've been kind of working on taking that content and putting it on YouTube, and then I can sort it on playlists, and I can kind of see how, and then it's edited, and I take out all of like the nonsense chatter. So it's a little more succinct.
Yeah. Polished.
But I've been having fun. Like Paper Source contacted me, a friend I met there.
Awesome.
And I did one of their kits, and they had me like paint it up. So normally it doesn't have all of this painting and pattern on it. It's just plain with the colors. So I share kind of how I doctored it up in paint over on my YouTube channel. And yeah, just making all sorts of mixed media little things. That's kind of what I love to play with paint, and with magazines has been kind of fun lately. I'm making my own little oracle cards just out of magazines that I cut out. And yeah, so that's what I'm up to. And let me see what other questions. I know we got a ton of questions. So now let me scroll back and see a few other things that people were asking about. Sherry says, what have been some of your favorite projects? Oh my gosh, I don't know. That's like your favorite child, Sherry. Or your favorite cat, or your favorite dog.
Right.
Is there anything that comes to mind for either of you that stands out as a favorite?
Bead related or non-bead related?
She doesn't really specify.
Doesn't really, so. Yeah. I am really into, I've been making those badges, those pins, pardon me, with my embroidery machine. I've been doing some of that work. I'm trying to see if I have any sitting here. I think they all might be in my studio, but that's been super fun. And I've been having a really good time just, creating some cool stuff. After my trip to France, I came back pretty, what I want to say, inspired. So hopefully it's reflecting in my latest jewelry that I'm doing. I hope.
Very cool. I can't imagine not taking such a beautiful trip like that and not being inspired, right?
So it was really fun.
Jackie's asking, how does beading affect crochet, knitting, painting, or vice versa in regards to color choices?
Well, I tend to pick yarns that kind of fall in line with the same color palettes that I do in jewelry. And I don't know if that's subconscious or if I do that with intention of pairing the wearings together. I'm not really sure, but I tend to pick a lot of the same palettes, maybe just out of familiarity. I don't know. I don't know if that answers your question well, but that's what I do. What about you, Kristen, in painting?
Yeah, I think they definitely inform each other. I don't know which comes first. I don't know if it's like a chicken and the egg thing, right? Like,
yeah.
But when things work together in one space, then they're bound to work together well in another space. So I would definitely say that I know that for our kits, especially early on at Softlex Company, we would look at a lot of my paintings. Wow. That was Sarah's suggestion. And we would try, when we would try and come up with color palettes, we would take a look at some of my paintings that I was doing or some things I had, and we would use those as a jumping off point. So now it probably happens that it goes the other way too, because we have to come up with so many different color combinations for our kits each month that there's no way that those decisions don't end up moving into, and actually speaking of, like, if you see this painting over here, it's like, it's got peach in it. I never really paint with peach, but I have a Just Peachy kit that I've been working with and beads that coordinate that I've been working with for kind of weeks. And so when I painted that a couple weeks ago, and ended up with peachy flowers, which
love.
So
Gorgeous.
they definitely kind of inform one another.
Love it.
Terry is wondering what our first crafting bug was. Where did we get the taste for being a maker?
Well, I'll show you. I've got something right here where I'll show you. I'll share a photo with you. I have my inspiration board back here, and on it, I have a photo. I have photos of, people of my family, people I love, stuff like this, other kind of inspiration. But I'll share with you. This is the woman who gave me my first crafting bug. That's my little Gran. That's my Gran Rose right there. Yes, that is me in all of my little finery. Um, and Gran was really clever. She made, see, you can see she's wearing that 1970s poncho right there.
Wow.
And that's probably a dress that I made out of, who knows what we made that out of. But she was super crafty, and she taught me how to sew and knit and all of those things at a super, super young age. So, yeah, there she is. That's Rose. And she taught me and my mom. My mom is also a constant source of inspiration for me as well. But it all comes down to this fountain of cleverness right here.
I love it. That's beautiful. I love that you have that picture just ready and right there.
Ready, right there. I'll put her back on the wall.
Inspires you all the time.
All the time.
It's beautiful. What about you, Abby? What was your first crafting bug?
Well, I started making jewelry young, and I always loved digging through, the grandma's tin of buttons and going through custom jewelry and linking them together.
Same.
But I was about 8 years old, from what I hear, and we were on vacation, and my parents were going to allow my brother and I to each pick one souvenir item to take home. And we saw someone who worked reception at the place where we were staying, and she had on this gorgeous, heavily beaded, like glass lampwork leaves, just incredible necklace. And I was like, that. I want that. And so my parents were bold enough to ask her where she got it. And she said, I made it. Thank you. And I was like, what? You can't make stuff like that. You have to buy stuff like that. And she was like, I'm off tomorrow. Why don't I meet you guys at the local bead shop and show you how to do stuff like this?
What? That's an amazing story.
I know.
That is an amazing story.
So from there, we were hooked. And I remember my first necklace that I made was like back then, sterling was not as expensive as it is
practically
now.
free. Yeah, that's
But
right.
I remember I was picking out like Austrian crystals that were this big, Bali caps that were this big, and back then my necklace was about $100. So
wow,
I was very lucky that my parents indulged my new obsession. And so much so that when we came back, there weren't bead stores in the area that really carried the kind of caliber of quality that I, as an 8-year-old, demanded.
As you had become used to using.
Yes. So we would always order. Back then, there were like catalogs, and you'd order from a catalog. And you'd send for a catalog. Those were the days where you'd send for a catalog. You'd get your catalog, and then you'd call in your order. You have to wait forever. So there were a lot of these awesome little bead stores down in Florida, and we got friendly with them, calling in our orders all the time. And eventually, one of the owners of this shop was talking to my mom. He was like, Rhonda, you guys order so much. Why don't you just open a bead store? You and your daughter just need to open a bead store because I'm tired of this. You're wiping me out of my stock. And she was like,
Okay.
So
I love that story.
That is so great.
Oh my gosh. That is amazing.
It's a pretty cool origin story for a bead shop.
It totally is.
100%.
Oh, I wish I said my story before your story, Abby.
Well, I still want to know.
I actually don't. Yeah, I don't know, to be honest, because there wasn't anyone in my immediate family that was creative in any. There was no one that was doing anything that directly would inspire me. I know that my grandfather, who he actually just passed at age 97, just last month, and he when I would go to their house, I was the oldest grandchild and everything, and when I would go to their house, I would tend to want to hang out with the adults or, kind of remove myself from the kids. And he would doodle with me. So he would just sit down and he would, like, when he would just make like cubes and cylinders and like all of those just geometric-y kind of shapes. And we would just doodle together. And I think we would draw things like perspective drawing, of little, he was a bricklayer. So he was interested in drawing just some little sketches of like the front of a house or something like that. So that is like my first memory of really doing something tangibly creative with someone. And then I will say that drawing for sure was my first love in the creative thing. I used to buy coloring books and I would just use the nice big bold outlines of a coloring book as my guide to teach myself how to draw things. And I remember specifically doing a lot of like Disney characters when I was a kid, and then all my little cousins would want me to draw them stuff. So it was like that, oh, I can make that and you want that. And that feels really good to be able to have that exchange, and make that connection with people. And I think that was really where the love of art just bloomed from. And then I just love to dabble in anything I can get my hands on. And I'm excited about M because I have some yarn here that I've never touched.
Neat.
So I'm curious to see if I can follow her, and if I don't even know if I have the right stuff, but I'm curious to just see if there's a new creative bug happening with that. We'll see.
You're going to get hooked. No pun intended.
Yes, literally.
Betsy is asking, do we have a favorite gemstone that we can never pass up?
All of them.
Yes, kyanite.
Oh, that's a good one. I love me some kyanite too. I've been on a big moonstone kick for a while. And then I also love like green kyanite is something that I've been picking up. Oh, so pretty. But I think it always changes.
Yeah. That's my answer too. It's always changing.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, this is so fun. Let me see what other people are saying. Look, it's hard because there's a lot of comments, but I want to make sure I could grab some questions. So let's see. Who has a Cricut? Kimberly is asking, have you made anything with your Cricut yet, Kate?
I do. The Cricut's sitting right up there. I've done some things with the Cricut. I've done a Cricut, for those of you who don't know, it's like a die cutting machine. So I've done some things. I've done some stickers. I did this kind of cool thing. Let me grab it. Watch my press there. I did something. I was practicing with the Cricut, and I cut. It's kind of hard to see, but this is leather that I cut. Let me put it against a white background. There it is.
Wow.
So you can see that.
That's really pretty.
And so I put that in my die cut machine. I don't know. I haven't really explored as much as I wanted to, I think, but I will eventually. You can see that would look really cool as a cuff or whatever.
So cool as a cuff.
Yeah, it's about maybe a 1 millimeter, maybe 2 millimeter thick leather. But I'm perfecting it. It's that is something that I definitely need to practice with. So I'm getting there slowly but surely. But I made this, yes.
Woohoo! I love that. That's really cool. It's so fun. Everyone's so creative. It's a good thing it is just three of us. Otherwise, this would have been like a million-year-long video.
Yeah. Yeah. I got one of those silhouette machines, and I think that it's like kind of the same thing as a Cricut. And I took it out of the box and looked at it and like got out all the paperwork and the CD that it comes with. And I'm like, a CD?
Yeah. What is this? What do I do with this?
What do I do with it? Use it as a coaster.
Yeah, so I put it all back in the box, and I'm looking at the box right now, and there it stays.
Yeah, it's really fun. Yeah, I have it up here. I need to take it back down and play around with it because it does have a lot of possibilities. It's fun for sure.
So Kim is asking, do you have a degree in art or something completely unrelated? That's an interesting question.
I'm a college dropout.
Well, you opened a bead store at like 10 years old. So.
Yeah. Did. My degree is in theater arts, so I was a costumer in the costume world before I came to beads, but a brief stint in between when I worked right before I went, I got my job at Bead Shop, I was working at Apple Computer. I had, in the early 90s, I had a brief panic attack that I had been a liberal arts major. I should have actually majored in something that had a little more gravitas behind it, but I only lasted 8 months. But it was a good stint at Apple while it lasted.
I bet you learned a lot.
I did. I loved it. It was really great. I was there in 92 at Campbell One there. But then I left Apple and I went to work at the Bead Shop. So
there you go.
So that was that.
I have my degree in visual communication. So I did go to art school and I became a graphic designer, and that's what I do for Softlex Company. That's how I actually got started with Softlex, is as their graphic designer, and now I do lots of other things too. But I got to go and I went to art school in New York City because I grew up in New York. So it was really quite fun. And the whole time I was in art school, I was like, oh, I just chose graphic design because I wanted something practical that was also art related. But man, did I covet the people painting all day long. And I went to a school that was very big into fashion. So they had a very large fashion department, which that was never necessarily where I thought I'd be. But here I am in a roundabout way, right? In the fashion accessory design industry of sorts. And it's kind of been an interesting path, because I got into graphic design and my first job out of college was at a small bead store where I met Sarah, and they had a catalog. So I was hired as their catalog designer. Oh, wow. And that's where I met Sarah. And then that's how I eventually ended up at Softlex Company. And but now I get to do best of both worlds. I have both my art that I'm continually working on, in addition to still being a designer and doing lots of computer work. And then also now branching out to all of these demonstrations for the last few years that I never would have anticipated.
That's awesome. What a cool transition of paths. Like just I don't know. I think somebody commented earlier about our origin stories being serendipitous, but Kristen, I think yours is pretty serendipitous.
Yeah,
It
totally.
is. And it's funny because I remember I almost changed my major at one point to be more of an illustrator because I thought, well, I can still be practical in a business sense illustrating.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, I'll be right back.
Sure.
Okay.
And but then at the last minute I said, no, I'm going to stick with graphics. But then it all kind of worked out the way it was supposed to.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Let's see. I know we got some more questions in here. Let's see where else I can find.
There's so many.
Oh, people are saying what their turquoise is your favorite stone, Kim. That's a good one. Actually, turquoise was probably a stone that it was my favorite for a really long time too. That's why I said they change, right?
Yeah.
Like after a while, there's
Yep.
something else. Anne is asking wire guards versus no wire guards on bracelets.
Well, I'll defer to the wire expert on that.
I'm curious what Kate thinks, but we're no wire guards over here at Softflix Company.
Here I am.
Oh,
Sorry.
there she's back.
Chris has to go pick up the, it's my parents' 49th anniversary today. So Chris is going to pick up the cake. So he just had to double check with me about where to go.
Neat.
So
Well,
Very
happy
cool.
anniversary to them. That's
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah, that's
49
amazing.
years. Crazy.
What a great celebration.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We're all going out to dinner. So what was the question for me? Sorry.
Wire guards versus no wire guards on bracelets.
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I think it just depends on the look. Like if I want everything to be super contemporary feeling and really like wrapped up, I'll use a wire guard. Sometimes though I use French wire. I use bullion wire.
Mm.
So sometimes. The answer is sometimes. And if I can find my wire guards. That's also.
Yeah, there you go. We sell a ton of them here at the
we
Bead
too.
place.
Yeah.
But I personally only ever use them when I am like putting them in the top of an earring or something.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah. I don't feel the need because I use Softflex wire when I make my bracelets and it's sturdy. And typically I'm using clasps that aren't sharp or abrasive. So I don't necessarily feel the need to have a wire guard.
Right.
Yeah. We sold them for a little while, but I never really took to designing with them, and I couldn't quite understand why people use them. But so we did carry them for a bit because we thought, well, people keep asking for these things, so maybe we'll just carry them. But we never really use them at Softflex Company. We just don't feel the need. I can see how they can make things look a little, if you want all your metals and to match and be finished, and that's something you just like aesthetically, then yeah, cool. It's also kind of nice if you struggle with like making a loop a certain size and you want to have that consistent sizing throughout your designs. I can see how it can be helpful there, but it's not really necessary with our wire. It's not something that we feel like you have to do. It's more of a personal preference with when you're using Softflex beading wire anyway. There might be other products out there that it's more important to use it with.
Good answer.
Let's see. Kim's an art teacher. She also majored in art. I love that. I don't even know. Oh, maybe this is a yarn question. Tips for using the bullion wire. I ended up looking like a cartoon kitten in yarn the last time I tried.
I've had that problem before too. So that's probably for Kate to answer.
What's that, for the French wire?
Yeah.
The French wire, it's all about how you don't want to cut it too long or too short. You want to cut like use a really sharp little pair of scissors or a really sharp wire cutter, because you don't want a little end or anything on there. If you go to beadshop.com and you go to it feels like we do like pearl knotting demos like all the flippin' time, right? So I've got one on there for sure. Go under like skill builders. You'll find some good tips on using the bullion wire there.
Thanks,
Speaking of pearl knotting, I want to change my answer about wire protectors or wire guardians.
Mm-hmm.
I do use them when I knot pearls. And if I use those like little fish hook clasps that have that like flat metal, I'm afraid that that's going to like eat the silk. So I use those when I do like knotted silk projects.
Yeah, so it makes sense with certain materials then.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yolanda's asking, have any of you used liquid silver in your jewelry?
Oh, that's a throwback. 1986 called. They want their number one seller in our jewelry store back. Yeah, for sure. Liquid silver is fun. We used to use a lot of it. We sold it by the bag at Bead Shop way back in the day. That was fun.
We used to sell it by the gram. Like we had bins of it in the shop, and people would say, "Oh, I want 2 grams of it," or whatever, and it would take forever to like individually pick it up without squishing them.
Right? Yes.
We should have pre-bagged it. You guys are smart.
Yeah. I will have to look this up because I have never used it, and nor can I envision what it is. Like,
you know those little silver noodles, like tubes? It's that, but only teeny tiny and very thin. And
like almost like a bugle, but super, super thin.
Yeah, yes. And you stack them all together, and it looks like a chain.
Yes, I think they're beautiful, and but my patience level with something that tiny is not good. It's not good. So
that's funny. Terry says, "Ouch, Kate. I still want liquid silver." I know. No shade on using liquid silver. But it was so, I mean, we could not keep it in stock for sure. It was so popular.
Yeah, it's really pretty, and it shimmers so much when you've got multiple strands of it. So I get it. I think I bought it a couple of times, and I never ended up really using it for anything because it just was not maybe I'd be better at it nowadays, but my nickname used to be the angry beater because I would get so frustrated with things that were tiny, and I would drop stuff all the time. And my husband used to always ask me, why do you even try this?
I love it.
Kim is wondering, can beading wire always be subbed for beading thread? Are there projects where thread should always be used? So I'm going to go and say that at Softflex Company, we really try to use beading wire to sub as thread all the time. We've macrameed it, we've crocheted it, we've knitted it, we have used it as knotting between pearls. But I will say that is probably one project where the thread is really lovely when you knot between pearls, because you can do it with beading wire, but it's not going to have the same drape and the same effect. So as a soft flexer, I have to say that we have definitely tried to substitute beading wire for all thread things, and successfully so in most cases. They just will look a little bit different. However, I will defer to Kate and Abby, who probably do more thread projects and have a better breadth of that kind of thing.
There's just a few things that I would maybe choose to use thread, specifically like fringe, like on those awesome seed bead earrings with the seed bead fringe. I think I would probably choose to use thread for a better drape. But a lot of the projects that I do that are bead woven, definitely the very fine. And what's the other one called? Is it soft touch?
Soft touch.
I love soft touch.
And the soft touch very fine is probably your closest you'll ever get to a wire, beading wire that is thread like.
0.010, one of my favorites.
I should ask if you guys have any videos on that, because I don't use it very often, and we should put a compilation together.
We do. I use it a lot for really fine, like if I'm stringing like really fine semi-precious, like rubies or sapphires, stuff like that. The 0.010, I will tell you, that's it.
Yeah.
And
when you're doing things that you want, like a ruby or a sapphire, that is going to be a bit abrasive and also, more expensive, then having a wire is going to be a better option versus the thread. But there are definitely, I'm sure, a lot of thread users out there. And I will say, I've done fringe earrings with Softflex in medium and fine, and I think maybe very fine diameter too. But I've also done it with thread. And so you can sub it. It just feels a little different.
Yeah.
So you just have to see what you think about that. Like it has a little more structure than thread would. Thread is going to be more fluid, which in some cases, that's what you want. Terry is asking, what is the average size for men's bracelets? I don't know. I
just
feel
always
like I want to say like 8 inches, but I don't know.
8 inches, I was going to say.
Okay.
Yeah. About, that's what I would say.
I think, as a lot of you guys know, the size of the bead that you're using is going to play a big role in the length needed for your finished design. So a lot of like stereotypically masculine designs are going to use, like, let's say maybe larger gemstone beads. So if you've got like a 12 or 14 millimeter stone, it's going to require a longer bracelet than if you would be using a smaller bead, just mainly because it takes up more room around your wrist. So that's definitely something you have to consider when you're creating your more masculine style bracelets.
Yeah, sure.
But we just always tell people to measure the wrist, and then add a little bit for slack. Usually we do about a 1/2 inch, just for comfort. But we always just tell people, hold it up and make sure it fits.
Make sure it fits. Yeah.
That's one thing why bracelets are tricky, because you just never know. Everyone's wrist size is different. And, and I didn't learn about the whole bead size thing till kind of later on. Like I'd always be like, why do my bracelets are always either too big or too small? But your materials do make a difference, whether how large that strand needs to be.
Right, exactly.
Laura is asking, how do you usually finish off the 010 soft touch? Well, you can crimp with our 1x1 millimeter crimp tubes.
That's what I use.
But you can also knot it. So it is knottable. And you could do like what's called a figure 8 knot is one of the knots we recommend. But I've also knotted it like just with square knots too. And you could put a little dab of glue on there. Especially the 010 is, you can knot all of our wire, but the 010 would probably like really cinch in more than some of the other ones for sure.
Yeah, the 0.010 is it's really, I feel it's so underutilized. I love it so much. One of my favorites.
I didn't have any 1x1 crimps on hand last time I created something with the 0.010. And so I just took a 2x2 crimp and I used the fine magic crimper. This is what I did, not what I'm telling you guys to do. But I crimped it and then I smashed it to be like more secure. And it has held for several years.
That's awesome.
Don't listen to me. That's just my experience.
I'm glad it's worked. Yeah, I'm glad it worked out for you. And that sometimes, as creatives, we do just make things work, right?
Make it work, my friends. In the immortal words of Tim Gunn, make it work.
The best. I mean, that's like, it's just the best line ever.
Yeah.
Here's another Softflex question. Sharon is saying, would you use heavy Softflex for making a necklace with big chunky beads or something else? Definitely great.
0.024. 24.
I know that it's good for chunky beads, anything that's going to be like a bit heavier or more abrasive, like trade beads or certain crystals if they're really big or something like that. The 024 would be nice. It's also good for bracelets because it has a higher abrasion level. So the movement of your bracelet can handle that movement a little bit more in the heavy if it fits through your beads. And then I know that Abby's used it a few times in designs where the wire is really a big part of the design because of the structural element, because it is heavier.
Right.
Yep. I also like to use the heavy specifically for bracelets, but for necklaces as well. Even if the beads aren't necessarily obviously abrasive, but hollow metal beads, I want to tell you, as an owner of a bead store that did repairs for almost 20 years, almost every single repair that we did was hollow metal beads. So sterling silver rounds, 14 karat.
Same.
They just eat through the wire. So I prefer to use heavy for that. And
that is a gem of information.
Yeah, but they're just little saws. Even though they're smooth, they're sharp.
Same. Yep. Same.
Okay. All right. Here we've got to wrap it up pretty soon here. So let's look at a couple more questions. We've got this one that talks about our favorite DIY jewelry books or books on the history of beads and jewelry that you might recommend. Ooh, gosh.
So my two favorite books, one was from way back when, and that was Denise Peck's Wire Jewelry book. That just opened up the doors for me for creative use of wire. And then the second book that really kind of like brought me into a whole new realm of jewelry making was Charles Luton Braham's fold forming book.
Same.
Yep. So that one is not bead specific, but it just taught me all the different ways that metal can move. And that just was really, really cool to know.
Yeah. Charles, that fold forming is really a killer book for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I have Brenda's book, our friend Brenda Schrader, and I thought her book was really fun. It's all of the, she uses a lot of that stainless steel wire, I think, but she does a lot of really fun wire designs. And that was a book that I've had for years, not knowing Brenda. Like I didn't even realize until she was in the TGBE, and I was like, "Oh, wait a minute!
Wait a minute! I know her." I know her.
And I always found her book to be really fun because she does some really interesting, funky shapes in it. I can't remember what it's called. It's on my bookshelf, but it's
it's like
to see. It's like simple something.
I'm seeing it because I have it too. I think I have it out in my other library. I will also say my two metalsmithing books, if I may be so bold, Simple Soldering and Metalsmithing Made Easy. I have literally taught thousands and thousands and thousands of people how to wield that torch. I'm also a big fan of like the history of beads, that old one by Lois Durbin.
Yeah.
That's just fun to read about the history and stuff like that.
Yeah, I did write a book too. So I guess if I could be sold, I could say Seed Bead Revolution with my good friend Sarah.
Yes,
we kind of explore 2 whole beads with Softlex and do all sorts of fun projects there.
I have that
book. So yes. Oh yeah. Enchanted Adornments by Cynthia Thornton is a beautiful book.
Yeah, that's a great one.
I think that one's out of print. So that one's one you got to go find somewhere. But it is a beautiful book.
Nilay's book that uses a lot of Softlex is a really cool kind of inspiration book to kind of help you think out of the box for creating new dimensional projects. I can't think of the name of it. It's like romantic.
Yes.
Something. I'll look it up right now.
Jewelry for the New Romantic.
Yes, that's right.
That's right. That's right.
That was how we met Nilay, because he published this book and we were like, what?
Right.
he did use some soft flex in there, and we were just blown away with his designs. As you guys all know and love Nile too, he comes up with some really amazing things. Kate, where can you find your book?
You can still get both of them on Amazon. You can order them right away, and they'll be right at your home. You know, they probably are on their way already. It's like,
right. Just think about it, and there it goes.
Think about it, and then all of a sudden your doorbell rings. So yeah, just look up Kate Richburg. You'll find them. Yeah, I also have Candy's book. She wrote a book a while ago. She's written. Yeah, I have a couple of hers because she was also a metalsmith before she was a beater.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
So she did a lot of metalworking before the beads. So yeah, for sure.
Very cool. And yes, you could find my book on Amazon as well. So it's called Seed Bead Revolution, and you could just look up Kristen Fagan or Sarah Ayler, and it should come up for you on Amazon. Very cool. Well, this has been so much fun, and we chatted for longer than I expected. I wasn't sure, you guys came with some really great questions, and I'm so happy my friends Kate and Abby joined me, so I wasn't here all by myself. That wouldn't have been so much fun.
No,
we never let that happen.
No, we really, really appreciate it. We appreciate all of you folks watching. And Abby, you're going to kick off the TGBE tomorrow morning with your segment.
I am. Tomorrow at 10:30 Central, we'll be taking a road trip together. So get your one-step loopers ready, or your round nose and chain nose pliers and a cutter. And we'll be having a lot of fun.
I'm excited to see your beaded beads look amazing.
Thanks. Yeah, they're so easy. I'm really excited.
And it was really nice to see the sample too that you just strung on the silver silk with Nile silver silk, because that's a really fun way to take that idea and just keep making some more things and trying it on different materials. And
I was really excited to see that it fit on the capture chain. I knew that it was going to fit on the smaller one. I forget what it's called, but the capture chain was the one that I was really hoping it would fit on. And it's
they were so cool.
That's
Nile's work today with that, his giveaway with that teal silver silk. I'm like, oh my goodness, that color is gorge.
I know. I can't believe he's like, oh, I have extra of this. I'm like, that's the most beautiful color ever.
Yeah, I'm all send that my way, please.
Right.
Very cool.
I'll relieve you of that.
That's right.
I'll pop on the schedule real fast so everyone can see. So tomorrow, Sunday, we've got our kickoff with Abby at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. Then we have Heather Powers of Humble Beads at 10 a.m. Pacific, followed by Cynthia Thornton of Green Girl Studios at 11:30 Pacific, Kay Goss of Star Beads in Bedoria at 1 p.m. Pacific, and our special guest, M. Rylan, at 2:30 p.m. Pacific. And lastly, coming up the rear, our buddy Christy Friesen at 4 p.m. Pacific time. You can change those to your time zones as needed. But yeah, so fun. I love TGBE weekend. Always a great time hanging out with all of you out there. Thanks for being here. Gosh, we were close to 200 people watching with us for this.
Wow.
You have all been bringing the audience this weekend so far. It's been, everyone's hot and indoors and looking for beading to do.
Yeah,
exactly.
Can I just say I finished a whole entire round while we were talking.
I'm gonna go fast. Okay, go ahead.
I love it.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say I finished a whole row. I'm proud of myself because I am easily distracted. So
that was perfect. You need more Ask Me Anythings to keep you on track.
Every night,
keep me on track. Yes, love. All right. Well, have a great rest of your weekend, everybody. Thank you so much. And Kristen, thanks for hosting us. It was really fun.
It was really great. Thanks for being here. Bye, everyone. We'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.